All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
All right, welcome back to the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. We were joined by Ken, but he just buggered off. He'll be back, no doubt. But we've got Daniel staying up late or early.
Hi there.
Very late. What time is it?
It's actually 1 a.m.
You're nuts, but thank you. And we've got Marcus Almighty. It's also dark in Canada, so is it already that time of year, Mark, where it's starting to get dark early?
You're muted. Oh no.
Oh no.
Why am I muted? There you go.
Okay,
There
you're
you
right.
go.
So my blinds are down. That's all. It's not dark. It's very bright out, in fact. But
Oh, okay, I was going to say you're up further north than we are. So Ken, Voice of Reason, is back just in time.
Just in time.
Yep. So JL, Ronnie Parker, Craig Broderick from Melbourne Rock City. G'day, mate. Austin Newland, Thomas, Ms. DJB, Dean. Thank you all for joining us live. It's been a couple of weeks since we did an episode. You know, during this very quiet time, Lonnie slides straight in, gets out of his car, doesn't even have time to get a beer.
No. Freaking cater.
You know, we're kind of becalmed at the moment in Kiss world. It's very quiet. There's really no meaningful, kind of announcements coming out. So it's a weird time to try and be doing shows when we've been doing it for a decade. So I don't know what the future holds, whether we stay weekly or whether we drop down the frequency and just get together when we have the mood and the availability. Because I know, like Lonnie, I'm freaking busy at work these days. And that's taking a whole heck of a lot out of my life before I even get time to go out and play. So
There are some rumors going around here in Sweden because yesterday a lot of people posted pictures with Tommy Thayer. He was in Stockholm. And you know what else is in Stockholm? That company that
Oh yeah.
that pop one,
the pop Pop House, yes.
Pop
That's
Tart.
the one. So as you all know, Kiss is a Swedish brand now, but he said he was here playing golf, but you never know if he was doing something with Pop House. And as you all know, Gene is coming over in a few days here as well. So
he's already there.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to Tommy Thayer joining Gene on stage when I watch them in a few days here now.
Well, hey, if it's unannounced
That'd be good.
and Tommy's doing the world tour of golf courses, because of course he is a golfer, go to St. Andrews. That's my recommendation right now, Tommy. You will love it. Absolutely. Best fucking golf course in the world, St. Andrews.
Have you played it?
No, I threw up on the 18th.
Nice.
I don't play
for you.
golf. We did
I'll play
Hogmanay there
golf.
one year. And we stumbled out after drinking a pint of mead and drinking scotch, and what else was there to do? So no one wants to.
That's even better than having played it. Puked on the
Yeah.
18th.
Hey, golf isn't that bad. I used to play golf.
I played golf as
Yeah, I
well.
play golf.
11
I
handicap.
tried. Yeah, no, the closest I got to actually getting involved on a golf course was riding through one on a snowmobile in winter. That ended,
Nice.
You're such
didn't
a
end in
rebel.
vomiting. It did end in crashing. So, all right. So it's been a couple of weeks since we've had an opportunity to get together and talk about Kiss. So yeah, as Daniel has mentioned, there is stuff going on in the Kiss world now. But generally, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons obviously is heading out for his European tour. I think it kicks off this weekend. I'm not following it because it doesn't really involve me. But one of the questions from the board, which I guess can be our first topic before we get into the first death match, pruning of the live songs, is get it out of your system before we get
Welcome
going.
back.
All right.
Yeah. In case anyone missed anything, that's Mark's recap. He's been holding that in for 2 weeks since the last episode.
Saving it all. Saving it for you.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, so one of the threads on the KissFAQ message board recently was what 5 Gene song or Kiss songs should Gene definitely be performing on this set list. He's revamped his set, and it's much more of a greatest hits one now that he doesn't involve the show. So it really changed up what his solo shows were like. And obviously, the band has changed as well. So Ken actually did some preparation in case anyone else didn't think about 5 Gene songs. Let's start with Ken since I know he's ready to go. And he's muted.
Classic.
I'm not that ready. I guess not.
You are? Are you ready? I mean, that's
Oh, there's
it's already in the
There you
set.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Well, when you said greatest hit, he does a greatest hits. Well, he's doing the Paul's greatest hits too. Right
And
now.
Lemmy's Ace of Spades.
We don't need that. But anyway,
Zeppelin.
I haven't said that. Okay, the 5 that I thought should be in this, I'd like for him to have in a set list is one of them is Charisma.
Yeah.
And then It's My Life, another.
That's a good one.
Watching You, another. Christine 16 is another. That was a real hit. And then Not for the Innocent would be my 5th that I would put in there. I
Wow,
think
180 song. 70s Ken has returned.
Yeah. Well, just on 3 of the songs are 70s. So, but yeah, Not for the Innocent, I think definitely should go in there. That's one of the first ones I thought of.
Good picks.
So,
Yep. Mark, what about you? If you got to pick 5 songs that Gene was forced to play, which Bob Ezrin songs would you have him do?
I did do my homework. So one is Domino. Believe it or not, I do think that it's a Gene song for sure. I'm surprised that Ken didn't pick that one, to be honest.
almost.
It is a classic 90s era. Ladies in Waiting. While I think that song is a kind of a deep cut from the record, but I've grown to like that song. And since I've been watching a lot of these bootleg videos of late, and since I watched your video, Julian, on 75 Largo, I watched that one again, and that is on there as well, right? So it's been on my mind of late, that one. Being an Asylum Man, I can't go without picking Any Way You Slice It. That's a great song. I think that's a good one for
nice
Gene
one.
to pick. I do believe that he should play that one. I mean, it's not the most hardest song to play, and I think it would go over really well. I agree with Ken. I picked Not for the Innocent. I think it's a classic Gene style song. Again, I think it would fit in perfectly with what he does. He has a good voice for it still, even in his elder age, for sure. And of course, this might be a tricky song to do, but I know it's a personal favorite of mine. I know Ken loves this one as well, and that's Naked City from Unmasked.
Well, that's a good pick. Yeah. And Ladies in Waiting, and thank you, because that's a good reminder that the latest episode of the Inner Sanctum podcast dropped yesterday, and it is Largo 75. And as my Australian Greek buddy Paul reminded me, Ladies in Waiting was also performed in Rockford for audio bootleg connoisseurs, and of course Detroit, which I can't remember if we've done that one yet or not, but it was in the set during the Alive period. Not necessarily frequently, because they did rotate a few songs around in late 75 when the set was still interesting. Lonnie, no one said Domino yet, so is that going to be in your list?
Domino is in
I did, yeah.
Ken,
Oh, you
yeah.
did. Sorry.
Mark did say Domino, but I agree with Mark. I think that's it's a classic Gene song at this point. It's easy for him to play. I think it would get a good response. That's definitely my list. I agree with Ken that Christine 16, that's a legit Gene hit, belongs in there. And I also agree with Ken with Watching You should be in there. I think that belongs. And then, there aren't any Kiss shows, so I think you have to play some of the hits too. So my other 2, in my opinion, that have to be in there are Deuce and Calling Dr. Love. Calling Dr. Love's a straight up Gene hit as well. Got a lot of radio airplay. So Deuce and Calling Dr. Love round out my 5 songs that I think he needs to play.
Nice.
Damn right. That's a good selection as well. I love, obviously, you said Deuce, so you're my favorite person today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Daniel.
Well, first of all, I think the setlist will change quite a bit from the previous gigs, because starting here over in Europe, I think the first gig is in Finland. It will be pretty interesting to see how he change up the setlist, because I think he will swap a lot of songs. And last time he was here in 2018, he was pretty. I mean, he could. I don't know if it was because of the band consisted of a lot of Kiss fans, because he could change the set list from show to show, throw in a few. So I'm hoping for him to be a bit spontaneous. But all of your picks are great. I love every song you mentioned. If I could, make a wish, I would like to see more songs from Asylum, of course. Anyway you slice it, Secretly Cruel, Love's a Deadly Weapon, I would love them. But also, of course, you need to play Fits Like a Glove and Unholy, I think. Those two I'd like to see. Even though we played them last time around, they went over real well over here, and I hope he plays them again.
Okay, I'm doing my list right now.
What about you, Julian?
Just now?
Yeah, I'm just doing it right now. You know what? I agree with you on the Asylum, and any way you slice it would be a really cool pick. I'm definitely think he's got to do Not for the Innocent. One thing he has, I think, kissed it. I can't remember who did it, but She's So European has been done. It sounded fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think Unholy, because again, when I'm giving that back to Lonnie for picking Deuce. Unholy, it's such a Gene signature song. I've been listening to some bootlegs today, which had it 92 Auburn Hills, and it's just it's a powerful and attractive song made for the gymnasium. But I think the one that I would really like, Carnival of Souls. Round and round it goes.
Carnivals. Okay, the song
Carnival of Souls.
Oh, yeah.
Go dig into that deep well of Gene-dom.
That came from left field.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about Weapons of Mass Destruction, and it really didn't work well. And I know that Carnival of Souls is a similar vibe, and I think it just might be interesting, at least to hear it once. Again, I'm all for check boxes and getting as many of these songs in the catalog at least performed live once to see how they went, and even if they're then shit canned after the fact, it doesn't really matter. So, all right, let's get into. Well, I guess everyone's waiting. Dynasty merch, because where was it? Thomas did ask the question. Did anyone else get their hideous Dynasty shirt? I got a shipping notification.
I got mine. And it is hideous.
Is it? Do you have it?
Yeah, you can grab it.
Back in the packaging.
Give me a second. I'll grab it. Hang on.
All right. So I got a shipping notification. I'd completely forgotten that I'd actually purchased the picture disc with the baseball uniform top. And I know that a lot of people got... well, you got the delay notification, didn't you, Ken?
You're muted, Ken.
No, sorry.
We are rusty as hell here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did get a notification is going to be delayed because I guess whatever size I chose is
Put it on, Lonnie.
too many. But
I don't know if I'll ever put this thing on.
Lonnie, take it off.
there
So
it
bad.
is.
Put it on. Put it back on.
I got it out, and it's blank on the back.
You gonna wear that in public?
I told my wife, check out this shirt. She goes, oh my God, that is so hideous.
Puke shirt.
That's not the best
so
design,
bad
unfortunately.
looking.
I can't
Golden
believe it.
puke.
I'm sorry, but that is so bad. It's actually awesome.
No, it's not.
And you clicked purchase on that.
Lonnie,
You chose.
Lonnie, you got much more worse shirts back home. You know that Simmons money bag shirt you had? That's
I got
way
one of
worse.
those, yeah. Oh, yeah, I got one of those.
I've seen it.
The
You
the
worn it
button-down
one
money bag
episode.
shirt.
Yep.
That's a nice one.
Oh my lord.
That's a
I wear
shirt for mowing.
I wear that outside, and you should see the wives in the neighborhood just flock to my house. Let me tell you.
Mowing the lawn. You're mowing the lawn out there with that.
Nice.
Mowing the lawn, and then I just go topless after that and really show myself off.
Yeah, I've seen you've been busy running lately.
I have.
Is there a race coming up?
No, maybe.
You run so fast. I'm impressed.
He's just keeping his shape, right?
Maybe in the fall. I haven't decided yet.
In Kiss makeup?
I've done that.
Wow.
He's already done that. See?
Yeah.
All right, Ken. So you got a shipping notification on yours, and what happened?
Well, no shipping.
Got to get you while you're off mute.
Yeah, while I'm off mute, I told him to cancel that the jersey because it's like I don't need that, and so I can still get the rest of the order. So hopefully I'll get a real shipping notice soon, since I just canceled that like today or whatever. That jersey, took that off my order. So.
Yeah, so again, I got the shipping notification. I've got no idea when it's coming in. I got a UPS delivery today, but it was a lawn chair. I don't even have a lawn.
Lawn chair?
I was hoping that it was going to be.
Are you like Kramer sitting in the hallway? In your lawn?
Speak of the devil, I just got a shipping notification from Universal, so it's arriving Monday for me. So,
there you go.
So there we go. All right. So anyone else bought any new Kiss shit or any shit? Mark, you usually buy shit.
No, not yet. I'm gonna wait till after the weekend, and I'm gonna probably put in another order for another Kiss T-shirt, right? But other than that,
good. Which one was that?
That's the Alive 2 one. That was out.
Japanese looking. Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very nice. Oh, good colors.
I bought my train tickets for Gene. You know how far I will travel to see Gene?
Yeah. So, what show are you going to? Or are you?
I'm going to Gothenburg. It's 600 miles.
Ooh, so 6
it's
hours.
Quite the trip. Yeah, so I'm bringing some books and some beer.
Yeah. Isn't he playing in Valhalla again?
Yes, Valhalla is. I don't know how much you know about the venue, but it's a pretty cool place. It's old limestone. What do you call it?
Quarry.
Quarry, yes. So it's real cool, but it's way off out in the woods, and the ticket sales has been a disaster so far. It's a venue that holds. Last year I went and saw them there 2 nights Kiss, and they sold I think it was 7,000-8,000 each night. Gene has moved somewhere around 1,000 tickets, so it's going to be
I
pretty
make more money
show.
with Kiss than I do.
He added some opening act, but it didn't make a whole lot of difference. So people have been wondering if he's going to cancel that show, but I think they'll go through with it. And so I'm not going to that one. I'm going to Gothenburg. He plays at a one of those roller coasters and stuff. What's it called?
Amusement parks.
Yeah, an amusement park, like Phantom of the Park, that kind of place. So
Six Flags.
I think that will be packed. I think there will be a lot of folks there, and it'll be kind of interesting. And it's always fun to meet up with our other Kiss fans and waving the KissFAQ flag.
Nice.
Yeah, and there'll be more people there, obviously, in civilization rather than out in the sticks. Ken, what did you get? What is that?
It justified me canceling that.
What is
Canceling that shirt justified my purchase of the 50th anniversary jacket for the first album.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. You want me to open it?
Yes, you should do an unboxing here.
Unboxing, unwrapping, or whatever.
Hopefully, rhinestones don't fall out of the packaging.
No, these are like riveted in there. It
would really shock the hell out of you if they did, wouldn't it?
So this is the front here. Yeah, it's not bad. Here's the back. Here's the.
Oh, nice.
They're nice. They're actually like fluffy kind of cloth patches.
It's like the old school hockey jackets they used to have.
And the other cool thing is the inside lining. I thought it was kind of cool looking. Let's see if you can.
Oh, nice.
That looks pretty cool.
Ah, that's
That's the
awesome.
lighting.
Wow,
So that's kind of
nicely
neat.
done.
Yeah, they did a decent job on that. So anyway,
Yeah, cool. Well, now I've seen it. Didn't have to buy it. Thanks, Ken.
yeah, now you don't have to buy it.
All right, let's do.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, Mark.
What's going on here? Sorry, man. It's a
One
dinner
more.
tonight.
One more. I hit the eject.
Going for the record.
Main topic today is obviously a few weeks ago on Spotify, I Was Made for Loving You passed through the 1 billion streams. 1 billion streams, which is actually, it's impressive. It puts Kiss up there with, well, Taylor Swift has like 97 songs that have hit 1 billion, but she's Taylor Swift and
Yeah.
Kiss isn't. But it's still very impressive. It's the first one of the songs in the Kiss catalog to reach that plateau. Aerosmith, I think, has 2 songs at that level, one of which you probably don't want to listen to. I think it's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Yeah.
But does that surprise anyone that I Was Made for Loving You rather than Detroit Rock City or Rock and Roll All Night or Beth was the first song to hit that plateau? And if it did, which song did you think was going to be first? Start with Lonnie on that.
It really doesn't shock the hell out of me or anything like that. I mean, yeah, I guess here in the States that Detroit Rock City and Rock and Roll All Night are bigger songs and more popular songs, but worldwide, I Was Made for Loving You is their biggest hit, and I don't think people in the States really grasp that or understand that how popular that song is and was in Europe and in other parts of the world. So when I saw that, it was a little bit of an eye opener, but then you stop and you think about it. I go, well, no, actually, that makes sense that it would be I Was Made for Loving You. I mean, a lot of times they tour in the States and they wouldn't play I Was Made for Loving You, but they'd go to Europe or they go somewhere else. Bam, there it is in the set list. They have to pull it up because it'd be like them not playing Detroit Rock City in the United States.
Yeah, and it was in the Endless Love movie, so clearly a lot of fans of that have pushed it over the top. Daniel, European perspective or actively European perspective representing, are you surprised?
No, not at all. I Was Made for Loving You has always been, sort of alive and current and been played on the radio. You guys mentioned Beth and stuff like that forever. Those were just hits in America. No one cares about Beth or Forever over here. I Was Made for Loving You was top 10 hit in a lot of countries. I don't think it made number 1 in any country. Maybe
I think it did in Norway or New Zealand.
Yeah, I think maybe one country made the top spot, but it was a top 10 hit all over the place. Austria, Germany, Sweden, Norway, everywhere. So it's a part of popular culture. Rock and Roll All Night is the closest thing to I Was Made for Loving You, and I think it's in second place when it comes to listens on Spotify, and it's going to be the next song passing that mark. But it'll take some time. I think it's at 500 million, so it has a way to go, but I think it'll make it eventually. I think that's a song as well that will live forever. But other than that, those 2 songs, I don't see the other songs in the catalog making that kind of mark. Over here, I'd say that Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up are very popular, but it's a stretch to see them making 1 billion listens, but maybe.
Yeah, so just fact checking as we go. Number 1 in Canada, Holland, and New Zealand. Number 2 in Australia. Sweden, nowhere. No, it was number 19, tied with Heaven's on Fire, which will make Daniel very happy there. So the top charting single in Sweden was
Psycho
Shout
Circus.
Out Loud.
Psycho Circus made a big impression as well.
Yeah, and God Made Rock and Roll to You Too.
Yeah, especially
also did well
UK.
there. All right, well, Canada, number 1, Mark. You
Yeah,
surprised?
I'm not-
And what's that? $33,000 in revenue it will have generated at 1 billion hits.
too.
Isn't that
Yeah,
bad?
I don't know. Who knows how much it would actually make? But yeah, I'm not surprised. In Canada, I know it did pretty well. You know, a lot of people back in the day, you know, when my sister and them were huge on Kiss, they were talking about that song a lot too. There was that big endless debate about whether they sold out or not between the guys in the building and the girls. But I'm not surprised that it was such a huge song globally, just like Daniel said. An interesting thing that when I was going to Vancouver a few years back, I was working with this guy in Vancouver. We were working on a record together, and we were using Garth Richardson's uh, studio. He had a studio there in Vancouver, and Bob Ezrin was doing it with him. Ironically enough, they were sharing. It was like a school for teaching engineering, and on the wall they had a bunch of gold singles, 45s, and a few of them were actually "I Was Made for Loving You" from different countries on the wall. So it's not a big surprise that it did very well in other countries. I mean, the evidence was right there before my eyes to see that. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Uh, Really, I mean, it has to do with the fact, and like you said, it has the most appeal across the whole musical spectrum. I mean, just now, even here in Canada, there's a commercial with "I Was Made for Loving You" playing in the background. I'm not sure what it was for, if it was for a car or for something, but they were using it now in a commercial again. So, you know, of course, you're gonna use a song that everybody knows. You know, you're not gonna put on, "Not for the Innocent" on a commercial. No one's going to know what the heck that is, right? So you got to use something that's familiar to the people, and that's probably the most familiar Kiss song.
Well, it clearly failed if you don't recall what product it was for. What's the point of advertising
Well,
this?
I wasn't watching. I was doing something. I could hear it on the other side of the room.
All right. Ken, your thoughts, and then we'll get into the live song rankings.
Yeah, it's it's surprising and yet not surprising, I guess, in the same way. If you would have asked me back then, back when it first came out, that this would be on some whatever, it was before streaming or anything that was even thought of, that it would be more popular than Rock and Roll All Night. I wouldn't say no. But yeah, I mean, it's worldwide, I guess. I guess not in the U.S. I don't think. Can you drill down and just pick the country it streams? I was wondering. Probably not.
What do you
see
mean?
how many streams for just the U.S. only versus other countries, and see what the ranking of those songs would be. It still made me number one. I mean, it's more accessible kind of a song than the rock, the more heavier rocking stuff. So yeah, it may be legit. I mean, obviously it is. Worldwide, it's the highest one. So it is what it is. I wouldn't pick that as my number one stream. I wouldn't stream it more than some other songs, but if you're a Kiss fan, I don't think you would.
No, you can't drill down, or maybe you can. I'm just not smart enough to do that. But yeah, 1 billion, 11 million, well, 12 million if we rounded up. So yeah, I'm not surprised, to be perfectly honest. Again, it's the international component. It's a legit hit single in the United States as well, being a gold single here. But it did very well. It was just, again, it generated hysteria in Australia. It was important to the European market for the Unmasked tour there the following year. It got Kiss a $2 million deal. So it's just one of those things. And no, Rob, Read My Body will never be reach any streaming milestone, nor should it. So this week's episode is really structured around "I Was Made for Loving You." When we start off the live Kiss song death matches, we've got to prune through a lot of different versions of the songs that have been released officially on albums, not on videos. And this is just the opportune song to weed through 4 different versions of "I Was Made for Loving You." It's been released officially on the Tokyo 2001 Off the Soundboard, the Alive 3 album in 1993, the Virginia Beach Off the Soundboard, and Kiss Symphony in 2003. So a lot of it, in terms of its live performance, has been by the same lineup, in essence. So, as usual, everyone sent their rankings in from least favorite to favorite for those versions. And each one of us is going to talk about each one of these versions and the good, the bad, the ugly for each one of them. So let's start off in bottom place. Anyone want to guess in the audience which one is the least favorite version of I Was Made for Loving You live?
Virginia Beach.
Wrong. Symphony.
Really?
Managed to cull a whopping 9 points. And I will just start off because I fucking hate Symphony. I will never like Symphony. I find the orchestral arrangements provided for that just juvenile, and they don't work with the material in any sense of the word. And I know I couldn't do better, but I just know that I don't like it. And if you do, great. Lonnie?
Yeah, I kind of had the same sentiment when I listened to the symphony version of it. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, but I had an open mind to it when I listened to it, and can't do it. Can't get into it. Couldn't get into it when it came out in 2003. Still can't get into it now. It's garbage. I don't know the last time. Couldn't tell you the last time I listened to it, and I don't know the next time I'll listen to it.
Yep. So Lonnie and me. Oh, and Daniel, you also ranked this your least favorite.
Yeah, by a mile. I never liked the way they incorporated the symphony orchestra in Kiss's music. It didn't work. But I think it was kind of interesting to listen to all versions of I Was Made for Loving You in a short amount of time, because I've never done that before. So I listened to how they played the drums, how the bass sounded, Paul's vocals and so forth. There were a lot to listen to. And symphony, it's way slower than the other ones. That's a big no-no. I think it's distracting with the symphony. I think it takes away more than it brings to the song. And some of the parts resembles the bad keyboard effects on the Dynasty album, I think, that I never really liked. What else? Yeah, the drums, of course, are not as energetic as on the other songs, because here you have an old Peter Criss doing the drumming. But I think one good thing with this song is that Paul sings during the chorus. That's lacking in some of the other versions, and you need Paul on the chorus in order for the song to feel like I Was Made for Loving You, the classic hit. And he does that during the symphony concert. But that's about the only positive thing I found in this version. It's dead last for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry that three of us have just bashed it pretty mercilessly. And I know people who were there probably had far more of a blast hearing it live with the symphony than we did. And sure, maybe some rose-tinted glasses and Kool-Aid were, helpful for enjoying it. I just want to be given the flavor aid rather than ever hear that again. Mark, you like it a little bit more.
Yeah, in my comment that I put, I just said that, I'm not a big hater of the show. I've heard worse bands with symphony stuff than this, and the good point that Daniel brought up was the fact that Paul does sing on this version, and his vocals are definitely helpful, because the one that I picked last, I'm sorry, but the one that I picked last, the vocals are just fucking atrocious on that. It's just the most god-awful thing I've ever heard, and the reason why I'll never, ever, ever buy that thing, and when we get to it, I'll mention which one that is, but it's just fucking horrendous. How it could be voted, this be voted worse than that, I just don't understand. But, like was mentioned too by Daniel, Peter's drumming on this is a little, lackadaisical. It's like, he's drumming with feathers and drummed. It's unbelievable. But I have a sort of a soft spot for this because I do like the bonus disc on here where they show the prepping for the show and stuff. I'm a big guy for bonus discs, so I enjoy that. So other than that, I'm not a big fan of the show, but I do think it's better than one other one that we will talk about.
Well, Ken, I'm making you wait and have all our negativity wash over you, because this is actually your favorite song, unless I had your favorite version of I Was Made for Loving You live.
Wow.
Unless I got your list upside down.
Yes. Well,
he came off mute. Awesome.
This is my, well, I agree with Mark that it should not be the bottom. That's for sure. I know what he's talking about there with the other version that's out there. So I put it number one. The thing is with this song is, first of all, I kind of like that kind, symphonic type music, and I like other bands that do that kind of stuff too, in their music. But the thing is with the song, I hadn't heard it in a while, and I listened to it. I had listened to it a couple times. It's the initial shock. I mean, everyone's so used to hearing these songs without that stuff in it. When you hear all that extra going on in it, it's a real, shock to your system or to your ears. It's like, because why is that there? Or, you're not used to it. So if you hear it, listen to it more, and then you be accustomed to it, like, okay, this makes sense now. It kind of works. The other thing about it is it's the most true to the original. Especially the vocals, like Daniel was talking about, the vocals with Paul Stanley. I think it's the best vocals of all those versions. And then I don't know. It just works. I mean, I would have been nice if they actually had a version of Symphony where you could, just click a setting button, if you have the DVD or whatever, and remove the Symphony just to see the difference, what it would sound like without it and with it. I wonder what that would have been like, but that kind of negates the purpose of having the Symphony, right? So I don't know. I just think that one is more true to the original, sounds good. Paul hits all the high notes like the original, falsetto, all that stuff. It's just well done. So, and I got used to the symphony fills and that sort of thing. It's kind of a cool twist on the original.
Yeah, and I'm not against changing things up and giving them a treatment. I've never shut up about how much I enjoyed Peter Criss's, brass additions to Strutter in 2017 or whatever year he did the Cutting Room. So, it's a little bit like Metallica's S&M too was pretty crappy compared to the original S&M. And then again, I think David Donnelly mentioned obviously Deep Purple, kind of paired with orchestra long ago. So it was nothing new. All right, let's move on. In third place, Virginia Beach off the soundboard, only 1 point better than this.
That should have been
this is your least favorite, Ken, so get us started on it.
Yeah, I mean, some of my, the vocals, even the back, I wrote this down. The backing vocals are all off on that. The band sounds tired in that performance. The only good thing I got out of that version is the solo. I thought Tommy had a pretty good solo on that one. Then that's about it. I really don't like that version of the song. So it's
Mark.
It's
neither do you.
How else to put it? I own every off the soundboard that came out in multiple forms, like the Tokyo 2001 I got on vinyl and CD. Same with the Poughkeepsie one. I got both versions. I got Donington just on CD. But in other words, I got them in one way or another, some in multiple forms. This is the one show that I never grabbed, never will. I mean, I've seen it on sale multiple times, and I will never grab this. This whole concert is just a complete clusterfuck. It's such a bad concert. Vocally, this song is just horrendous. I mean, I don't know what key they were singing in, or the key of H or something, but it was not in any musical key. It was terrible. I don't know how they thought this was a good idea to release this one. That's the thing that I'm always wondering. It's just terrible. And that's the one thing about the soundboards is that they're, some people love them because they're so sonically accurate to what's happening on stage, but that could be the downfall, because if you're sloppy or if you have a bad night, man, soundboards really show when that happens. You know, you have nothing to cover up your out of key singing or your missed notes or, you know, your bad drum fills or something like that. And this is just unbelievable how terrible this version of not only the song but that whole concert is. Just rough. I mean, I will never buy this one, so it's in my bottom like right away.
Yeah, before we get to the positivity, I'll go. Because 2004 was my second least favorite, and it could easily have been tied with Symphony if I was to pull a Ken. But it sounds like crap. It's just kludgy, lacking any art or skill in the mix. It's a bad performance. There's no tapes here, clearly, but the background vocals suck. It sounds tired. It sounds disinterested. But to end on a positive, Paul's still pushing 100% on his vocals, even if Mark didn't know what key he was singing in. You know, Paul's still delivering at this time. And it's just hard to believe that the Virginia off the soundboard, you know, was one of the shows that was recorded for the Rock the Nation Live. And what a difference a bit of treatment gives it. Lonnie and Daniel have it tied, kind of middle of the road for them. Lonnie, go to you first.
I enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed the Rock the Nation tour. I enjoyed how I thought the band sounded rejuvenated on the Rock the Nation tour, and I actually liked the way they did I Was Made for Lovin' You on the tour. The bass sounds really heavy when Paul's flying out to that second stage. I kind of like that at the beginning of it. And like Julian said, Paul sounds really good on that. I'm sure the backing vocals aren't great. I'll give you that. But I thought Paul sounds really good. I like the way he sings it. I like the way the band plays it. I think the band was tight on that tour. Maybe this isn't the tightest performance of the song, but I thought it was I thought it was decent. I mean, it's much better than the symphony version, in my opinion. And I ranked it 2 out of the 4. Actually, I ranked it a little bit higher. I didn't even rank it 3rd. I was a little disappointed with one of the versions that I was looking forward to listening to again. I'll get that in a minute. But I ranked it 2nd, and I almost ranked it 1st. But then I listened to another version. I'm like, yeah, no, that's the best. So
I wonder which.
Well, you have to keep watching. So I ranked it 2nd. I enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and more than Ken and Mark, apparently. And Julian.
No, Daniel, you also enjoyed it on Virginia Beach.
I'm a bit flabbergasted by Mark and Ken and their thoughts that this was pure crap. I didn't hear that at all. This was my 2nd pick as well. It ended up in 2nd place. And I think the one thing that stands out from this concert is the way Paul is interacting with the audience. He sounds truly energetic, and it feels like he's really enjoying the show. And he actually adds some stuff during the chorus. He sings an octave higher during the end of the chorus, which he doesn't do on, for example, the show in 2001, the Tokyo show. So I really like that one. And I think that's much because that's probably because he was so into this concert. It seems like he's really enjoying it. And as live performance, I think that's really important, that the singer is into the show. And this is the show when I felt he was much more into, the showmanship than the other show. So I truly enjoyed this version. Of course, there are some downers on this show. For example, the long intro, because he was flying out to to that small stage. It's way too long intro. Much like when they started off with Modern Day Delilah on one of, I think it had to be the Sonic Boom tour. It didn't really work with the long intro. But I think the vocals from Paul, I really enjoyed them. And there are the cool explosions and all of that. And I think it's a pretty good version as well, actually.
Nice. Well, again, as you can tell, all our tastes run the gamut across any of these versions. In second place, which will give away first place, I guess, on 14 points, the Tokyo 2001 off the soundboard live recording version of I Was Made for Loving You. I'm going to go first because I'm the only person who has this as my favorite live version of I Was Made for Loving You. And it's simply because I like the sonics of the song. It's a big, booming barbarian mix. There's a little bit of vocal effects going on. It's a good tempo. There's more bass in it, which I think is important to the song as it really firmly roots it in, not necessarily the genre that it was recorded in the studio, but it really gives it a vibe. And the production, or what it is for a soundboard, or the mix, I guess, is much more meat and potatoes. So it still has that live aggression that you kind of, expect. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that. What was it? Frelly. Ace, Singer, Simmons, and Stanley. It's a very, very good. What also struck me as kind of weird is we've got we have pro shot videos for 3 of the 4 versions of I Was Made for Loving You Live. There's a pro shot from the webcast for Tokyo 2001. Obviously, Rock the Nation Live is pro shot. And what's the other one?
Live 3.
Oh yeah, the one we'll never talk about again. All right, so let's see who should go next. Daniel, you have it as the least favorite on your list, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's. I think I had Symphony below this one, but
yeah, third place, the least
third
favorite
place.
of the 5 of us, though.
What really caught me was the bass in this version. The bass is really up front, and you can hear that. Really iconic bass playing from Gene. I like the bass on I Was Made for Loving You, and this is the version where you hear it the best. So that's the thing I really like with this one. But I think Paul's voice on this one was really a disappointment. I think it sounds tired and strained, and for example, he skips the high notes in the breakdown. When he does that falsetto, and I think that's because it seemed like he didn't have his best night. But of course, when you talk about 04, that show it catches a lot of flack just because of the lineup, and I think this show gets a lot of positive thoughts because of the lineup. It was just for a short amount of time with Eric Singer and Ace Frehley in the band. So I thought I would rank this high, but when I heard it, man, Paul's voice at times sounds so squeaky. I think it's by far his weakest performance on all of these versions, and that really takes it down for me, because I think that's the most important part in I Was Made for Loving You, is the Paul Stanley vocals, and this is clearly his weakest version. So that's why, and no explosions. I mean, a live version with I Was Made for Loving You, and you don't record the explosions, or maybe they weren't able to use them in Tokyo, I don't know. But that you need the explosions in order to make it a cool live song. So this was a bit of a disappointment for me, actually. I thought I would like it better.
Okay. No boom dooms the tune. All right. Lonnie,
Yeah.
you also rank it, in the bottom half of your list.
I did. I was really looking forward to revisiting this version of it with the Eric Singer, Ace Frehley lineup. And going into this, I thought, it's probably going to be what I pick as my favorite, just because of that lineup that everybody talks about. That it's too bad they only played so many shows and so many parts of the world didn't get to see or hear that lineup. So I was really looking forward to it, and it just didn't impress me as much as some of the other versions did. And I say that thinking that it was going to be my favorite, and it just didn't. With Daniel, that Paul just sounds a little worn out, and that the song just didn't kick as much as some of the other versions did. It just didn't have a feeling that the other live versions did. I was disappointed listening to it, quite honestly, because I thought I was going to rank it highest, and ended up being third out of 4. It was disappointing, so it just didn't do it for me.
Fair enough. Mark and Ken have it equally kind of top half. Mark, how about you first?
Well, I'm one of those people, guilty as charged, who love this lineup. Always said that there's something about this lineup that I've always thought was interesting. I think that Ace played better with Eric Singer than he ever did with Peter Criss in the lineup. I mean, this stuff sounds good. And I mean, people keep saying that he sounds tired and stuff like that. Well, yeah, I mean, the guy's just done like a whole massive world tour, and they, for some reason, they always put this song down near the end of the set.
Though. Not really, though, because they played their last show in the States in October, and this is recorded in March, so it's not like
okay. But I'm saying that, but still, at the end of they put this always at the end of their set, which is stupid if you ask me, because they're doing like 21 songs. He sung 20 songs before this, and he put "I Was Made for Loving" at the end. In any case, I still like this version better. I mean, he doesn't do some of the higher singing and stuff like that, but you know. At least it's in key, you know. At least it's he's singing it half decently. It's not like the backing vocals are better than anything on the other stuff. I mean, I don't know what they were singing on the other stuff, but at least they were a bit more in key here, which is funny because Ace is involved with the vocals too, which could be hit and miss with Ace. But I don't know. I've always liked this show. This show for me, I always had a soft spot for it. So that's not the best song on the show. That's for sure. I'm not gonna say it's the best song in the whole show. But I think overall, this show, I've always kind of had a soft spot for it.
Yeah, so I think Paul Stanley had been shouting at Peter Criss for 3 months, which probably wore out his voice. What do you mean you're not going to sign an extension on your contract? What's the matter with you? There's money on the table. How did all of you approach listening to these? Because as I joked in our little chat, I didn't start listening to this stuff until this morning when I threw all 4 into Winamp, hit random shuffle a few times, so I didn't know which one was which, and then press play, and then just went through each one of them, listened to them all the way through. Yeah, Winamp, Daniel. How did you listen to yours? Do you have something fancy?
Is there still a version of Winamp around? I remember
is
doing that.
No.
Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, this is like 2007. It still works on Windows 11, and it still does what I want and how I want to listen to music. So why would I do something differently? It still works. So,
yeah, it's so cool that you're using Winamp.
All right, fancy guys.
I had forgotten all about Winamp. It's just
it kicks the llama's ass. What's
relic from the past.
Well, I also put them in a playlist and listened to them and compared, tempo. And sometimes I picked a part that I thought stuck out in one version and listened to the other songs. For example, Eric Singer's drumming in the song, the version that we haven't mentioned yet. I compared that drumming to the other parts because I think that really stood out. So I made a playlist and I could easily, switch between the songs and compare them. But I didn't use Winamp.
Shame on you. Lottie, how about you? How many miles do you have to run to listen to these?
I couldn't do 4 versions of "I Was Made for Loving You" in a row while I was running. No. I mean, how did I listen to it? I mean, straight on my iTunes on my phone to a Bluetooth speaker, listen to all 4 of them in a row. And my wife's like, "Why are you listening to the same song over and over again?"
What's wrong with you?
It's not the same song. It's different versions. Leave me alone. No, just straight off the iTunes off my phone. Downloaded my iTunes and straight through. So, it wasn't hard, but it was.
Try Winamp next time. Makes them sound better.
Sorry, I'll do LimeWire.
Mark.
Actually, the funny thing is I listened to them spread out over a couple of days because I took out Tokyo on vinyl. I was downstairs just going through some stuff in the basement, and I listened to the whole album, actually. So I listened to it on vinyl, and then the other ones I had on CD, and I listened to them in the car. But I didn't listen to them back to back to back. I kind of spread them out over 2 days and just listened to 2 of them one time and then 2 of them another time. But I did listen to most of the whole albums though, just because I wanted to. The one I wanted to listen to, the Tokyo one, but the other ones I kind of just when he shuttled forward a bit and listened to the last 5 songs of those ones and listened to that. But it was okay. I mean, they were enjoyable listens for me at least.
I'm actually disappointed that no one said that they made a mixtape and put it in the walk. Ken, how did you listen? How did you consume these?
I listened to them a couple at a time. I mean, I listened to them more than once each. Actually, I went on YouTube and did it that way because I didn't want to pull it out or whatever.
You are.
So I did it that way. The thing I noticed, though, when listening to this and listening to some other versions that we aren't even going over, is in the 2000s, sometime, Paul sings, they end the song where he says, I was made to love you, or to loving you, or whatever. And I just did I never even realize he did that? I guess I was like, I guess I never really realized he was doing that as a change to the song or to the end of the song. But I just thought that was kind of weird. I never really paid attention to that. But yeah, a couple times each, pretty much, or 2 or 3 times each through YouTube, because it was easy to access it that way and do it that way.
Yeah, there's some pretty awkward live endings to the song that don't quite work functionally, but there we go. All right, that means that number 1, no surprise, clear winner is the Alive 3 version of I Was Made for Loving You. Let's see, who should I start with? Let's start with Mark. It's your favorite version.
Yeah, I love this version. I think that it has all the power and aggression that it deserves. It definitely shows with a little bit more updated gear and updated styles of music, like Eric Singer. I mean, his drumming style, which is much more modernized, much more double kick heavy and stuff like that, definitely added to the groove of this song. I mean, it's just fantastic how it sounds. I mean, everybody was clicking. They had something to prove on this tour. It was very obvious in the whole concert. I mean, just watch the whole show. They play these songs like so well. Like not just this one, but everything that they've done in that show is just top notch. I really enjoy Alive 3. It's a shame that it didn't do much better than it actually did, because that performance of this song too is great. I mean, you talk about his singing. I mean, he sings the whole song pretty much higher than he did on albums. So this is when his voice was in bulletproof form at this time, and he could sing pretty much anything he wanted probably at this point. So I love this version of the song.
Lonnie, you also have it as your number 1 version.
I do. It was I was listening to some the other versions, and I got to this one. I'm like, oh, this is clearly the best live version. I mean, clearly, without a doubt. Bruce and Eric sound great on this version, and it just sounds the way that like the song's supposed to sound live is this definitive version, in my opinion. It is straight, just turn it into a straight kick-ass rock song from the disco version that we got in '79. So. And I wasn't trying. I went into it, like I said, very open-minded. I thought I was going to end up picking the Eric Singer Ace Frehley version, and I'm thinking I can't be so biased because I love the Revenge lineup that I'm just going to pick the Alive 3 version of it. But when I sat down and listened to all 4 of them, it was clearly hands down the best version.
Daniel, you also have it as your favorite.
Yeah, of course. This was the first time I saw the potential of the song, because I really never liked the version on Dynasty. Well, it was okay, but the way they metalized the song on Alive 3, buying that record and listening to it, I went like, wow, what is this? This song actually reached its potential some 15-20 years after it was released. I think this version is the definitive version, much like Lonnie said, but they never performed it on the American Revenge tour, I think. So this must have been recorded during a sound check or in the studio. So I would like to see a version actually without the crowd sound, without the audience. That would be real cool, because I think that's a version that could go over real well. Live versions are seldom played at hockey games or whatever you watch over there, baseball and American football and that kind of stuff. They use that old version. Imagine a version without crowd sound and having people listen to this version, because not many people have heard this version compared to the studio version. So that would be really cool if that ever surfaced, without the crowd sound, because they never played it live during this tour. So it's not a live recording. But then it made me think, why is it so head and shoulders above every other version? And to me, first of all, it's Paul's vocals, of course. They are splendid. But the other part is actually Eric Singer on the drums. And I listened to the different versions, and I discovered that he plays the song a whole lot different in this version than the other ones we've listened to. Like after the breakdown, I can't get enough when Paul does the falsetto singing.
Yeah.
He uses a lot of double kick drum that he doesn't use that on the other versions. And he does sort of a double kick drum and then a descending drum roll. So cool. And after, the explosions, I was made. He also does a cool fill that he somehow forgot about. But I guess Paul, he wanted to keep it more like on the original, unfortunately, because I think he updated this version and made it real cool. And also the ending of the song, when he does the double kick before they end the song, that's really cool. He never did that on any of the other versions. And also a small fill before the chorus. It does some sort of cool fill before the first and second chorus. That's also gone in the other version. So Eric Singer, he was let loose on this version. On the Revenge era, during the Revenge era, they tried to sound tough, and Eric Singer, he got to show his skills. Later on, he was kind of holding it back and trying to sound more like Peter Criss or something.
They
like
made
that.
him
So,
play like that.
yeah, we're not really sure. At times, he
We're
says,
sure.
I play for the song. He's always said that, but the club tour and the Revenge tour, that's the way Kiss should sound to me. I mean, those years 92 and to 95, I think the drumming is off the charts, and it makes the song sound a whole lot better. And I Was Made for Loving You is just another example of that.
Yeah, so they did record it live-ish. They did sound check recordings during the Revenge Arena tour, but I mean, it's primarily studio construct. And yeah, there are a lot of overdubs done, obviously to fix stuff. Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually ranked this the least favorite of everyone on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they played it well. Musically, that was sharp. To me, that the whole Live 3 for me is overproduced. That's always how I felt about the sound of that album. And then they were pumping the crowd noise in on this too. They did that's that true. On a live too, whatever. But I didn't care for that. They didn't really have to do that. Paul doesn't sing the falsetto at all in this version. It's like that's just part of it. You need to do it, as far as I'm concerned. And then the solo, nothing against Bruce, but there was nothing much of a solo there. Really, it's just kind of.
There's never been much of a solo on that.
Nothing. Yeah, but even the little solo that original Ace one had was you know,
No, it's
it was
just as
simple and
good on Live 3.
Simple good. So no, it's different. No.
It's better.
So I ranked it down a little lower because I just think it's mostly because I don't like the production, and that's why I did that.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird.
I
It ended
second
up
that, Daniel.
It ended up in second spot for me, and yet I'm looking at my notes here, and I'm just going to read it. Muted production and mix, bass soft and not driving, which is a shame because bass line is integral. Good Paul vocal, and I do like that some of the effects that replace the falsetto and the disco flourishes. Don't like those little end of riff guitar widdly diddlies or the tone of the guitar. So Bruce did an interview where he said that people who don't find Kiss's music complex are idiots. So I'm clearly in the Bruce Kulick idiot labeled category today. Yet it's still my second favorite version of the song from these four performances. So there we go. Different days, different opinions, different tastes. It's all represented in just this ranking of this one song. I think Daniel surprises me. You know, this song was re-released in 1997 as a single in Europe. Even though I think it was pulled into the set at one point, Lost Cities. Ken would have seen it at the club show in 1992.
Yeah.
So he did see it on the Pseudo Revenge tour. You know, it's an interesting song, and it's come up invariably. You know, it's a shame. I think it was Rob mentioned in the chat. It's a shame that there was never an Alive 3 or a full Alive recording with Eric Carr with this song, because performed on the Unmasked tour and then on the Hot in the Shade or tail end of the Crazy Nights tour, it did sound pretty good, but we have none of those versions to kind of judge it for. We're so late into this, you know, everyone's got the favorite bootlegs that they go to, and maybe they'll chime in on the video thread of what's your go-to live performance of this song if you like it live, and if not, you know, just leave it out. But that's it.
Okay.
Well, what were you gonna say?
Well, I thought you wanted us to check out some other bands and their, you know, top songs.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Who?
You picked Aerosmith and their, you know, top songs and you know, with the most views or listens. Or are we?
Oh, you mean like on the Spotify, like another band, and what their top Spotify song is?
And discuss a few other groups.
Well, what? Okay, so what was the group that you picked and their top song on Spotify?
Well, I think it was kind of interesting thought from you, Julian. A good idea that you could compare. You know, Kiss has "I Was Made for Loving You" with 1 billion listens on Spotify. If you compare like the rest of the songs in their top 10, it doesn't even reach 1 billion listens combined. So, could you argue Kiss is a one-hit wonder? I don't know. I just when you mentioned that, so I checked out one of my other favorite bands from back in the day, and that's Twisted Sister. And Twisted Sister, you all can say their two top songs. We're not gonna take it.
We're not gonna take it.
And
I wanna rock.
Yes, of course. We're not gonna take it. Has well over 400 million listens, so it's not close to 1 billion. So that kind of surprised me. I thought that would be real close to "I Was Made for Loving You." And "I Wanna Rock," it has almost 300 million listens on Spotify. And then it's kind of interesting to see which is the third song. Do you have any guess which is the third most popular Twisted Sister song? It's actually from another record. It's not from Stay Hungry.
Leader of the Pack.
That's a good guess, but it's not the one. The Kids Are Back. Are you familiar with that song?
Yeah.
The Kids, 37
I
million.
know Captain Howdy, so yeah.
Yeah, Captain Howdy is a real cool song, but that's from Stay Hungry. The Kids Are Back are from an earlier record, and you have to keep in mind the second most played Twisted Sister song had 259 million listens. The third one, 37. So there's such a difference between their two top songs and the third one, and then it just goes downhill from that. So Twisted Sister, to the public, they have two songs, and the rest are way off. So I was looking forward to seeing what bands you guys picked, and to see if they also have a similar pattern, that you have one or two big songs, and then there's a lot of space before the third or fourth song. So and Julian, you mentioned you would look into Aerosmith, and I think someone else mentioned maybe.
Yeah,
Is it-
Aerosmith has two songs, "Dream
Yep.
On" and I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and then it drops off by half to get to "Walk This Way" and "Sweet Emotion," which are the other ones. Lonnie, what are yours?
I looked at Guns N' Roses, and their number one song has over a billion views. A billion.
Can we take a guess?
Take a guess.
Welcome to
November
the
Rain.
Welcome to the Jungle.
No.
What? Don't cry.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh,
That
Lord.
makes sense.
Nice.
Predictable.
Yeah, and when you stop and think about it, it does make sense. That I thought it was going to be "Welcome to the Jungle" also, but you stop and think about "Sweet Child of Mine," that it not only was played on rock stations but on pop stations also, and it's just it took them and puts them on a different level that made them popular with all kinds of people and not just rock fans. So,
Yeah.
How many listens?
It was over a billion. I forget how much
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
But number 2 was "Welcome to the Jungle," and then 3 was "November Rain," which made sense too with "November Rain" because it was so popular amongst. It was on rock stations and pop stations. So
You Could Be Mine. I think would have been pretty popular.
Well,
Be in a single of Terminator 2.
it was. It was so popular at the time.
Yeah,
That song was exploding.
awesome song.
I picked AC/DC
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Back in Black.
and
How many songs do they have over a billion?
1, 2, 3, 4 over a billion.
Okay.
And what one do you think is the top one?
Back in Black.
Hell's
Highway to
Bells.
Hell.
That's fourth.
Nice.
Actually, that's not fourth. It's
TNT has 720 million.
second.
That's awesome.
It's the second. Yeah, Highway to Hell
Ah.
is number one at 1,645,000, etc. Number 2 actually is Back in Black, and then number 3 is Thunderstruck, which is
later
somewhat
song.
surprising. And then number 4 is You Shook Me All Night Long.
Yeah.
Then a little bit lower after that, number 5 is TNT. Yeah, which Julian mentioned. So
That made me happy.
yeah,
Love that song.
Great songs.
All right, Mark. Which Yes songs are you picking?
I
Rush.
didn't pick Yes, actually. I picked
Rush.
Rush, actually.
Aha.
But it's interesting, though. I mean, I don't have a Spotify account, so I had to kind of go online
Me
here, and
neither.
I'm not sure how accurate these. And I'm not. I mean, the number one Rush song is obviously Tom Sawyer, right? And that had, according to what I see here, it said it has 327 million down.
Oh.
And the next closest one is Limelight with like 140 million. And then Spirit of the Radio has like 119 million. And then Closer to the Heart was 75 million. And then it goes down from there. But I mean, I don't know how up to date that is, but I would still assume that in the
correct.
That
most.
seems to be.
It's correct because
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
that's
So
not a whole lot.
I'm just saying that it's probably not a surprise that would be the biggest like what song out of the catalog.
We're
But
not,
Rush has never been a big kind of band to do these kind of things. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just I know that they're definitely not as downloaded and played as like some of the other bands that were mentioned, right?
Well, surprisingly, Eminem has more over a billion than Taylor Swift. Eminem's new album's actually pretty good, and I'm not that much into rap. I do check shit out on occasion, but that surprised me. All right, so there we are. Daniel, thank you for reminding me, because we're over an hour, and you know how much I hate long shows. believe it or not. So we've been away for a couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll be back. Actually, I know we'll definitely be back next week with an episode, one way or the other. There'll definitely be a KissFAQ podcast episode next week. It might be fun, so we shall see. All right, so that's it. I Was Made for Loving You live, a whole bunch of other stuff catching up. Thank you for joining us live. We appreciate your input and your conversation while we chat. Lonnie, Mark, Ken, Daniel, and myself say goodbye, and we shall, well, see you again. Where's the outro? Soon.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.